Check, check. Set this camera up. Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Mic check, 1, 2. Alright, so in this video, I want to touch on transcendental meditation. Right? Transcendental meditation. If you are not familiar with the term transcendental meditation or TM, as it's also referred to, the craziest thing about this meditation technique is that there's a company or someone who has trademarked it. So the idea, the fact that anyone to perform this meditation, you don't need anything outside of using your own mind, right? So the idea, the fact that somebody could copyright a meditation technique and basically own the rights to a certain way that you can or aren't supposed to use your mind is crazy. But anyway, I want to get into it. Um, this is a meditation that I used to practice some years ago. So I'm going to also be giving my experience with practicing this form of meditation and get into the whole big secret shit, right? If you, because when I first got into trying to learn and study what this was all about, the first thing I noticed is that a lot of people's being real hush hush. You know what I'm saying? Like it was some big secret and shit, right? Like, even if you get on Facebook and you search the TM groups, you'll find the first question they pop at you they be like, who's your certified TM instructor and shit. Like they blow this shit up like, but this is just what people do. This is what people do when they think they got something. When they think they found the light, they always want to keep it to themselves and shit. Um, but man, look, let me hit this and we can get into it. So that aspect of it is business and it's a hustle because what they want you to do is they say, hey, to learn this, then we need for you to come pay to get this training from our instructor, probably some crazy amount of money, right? And be like, we're going to tell you exactly how you're supposed to do it, and you can't do it without an instructor and all this shit. Anyway, I done did this shit though. So, as with anything else, whenever you try to find out what something is, I realize there's multiple interpretations on what people consider to be doing transcendental meditation. The lesser one, I feel, is some would say that you should find a place in your mind, all right, find a moment of where you was in a complete state of blissfulness, right? So this is something you can fantasize, or it could be a memory, right? You can recall a moment where you was just perfect, right? And they will say, so you want to hold on to this moment and keep it there, right? And then through a couple of other techniques, the goal is that you're wanting to project your consciousness back to that moment, right? So, like, to move from you just observing it to you projecting your consciousness back to that place and to actually be in it, if you get that. That's that's a version of it that me myself I don't find to be real nah. You know what I'm saying? I don't really find anything that's anything about that, right? I believe that's not that's not what you would want to aim for. In my opinion, transcendental meditation. First, let's get to the secret thing, right? Because people act real hush hush and real secret about the shit. So the big secret is what they want to send you to fucking instructor schools and shit for is it's about a meaningless word. You're going to be repeating this mantra. It's going to be a meaningless word. So make up a word, right? But people will tell you that you gotta go pay somebody a lot of money and they're going to give you the mantra that you're supposed to have. Yada yada. Anyway, a meaningless word or sound, right? It got to be something that ain't got no meaning to you. You know what I'm saying? Because the purpose of using this meaningless word is because this is a way that you are going to attempt to bypass the ego or your conscious mind. Alright? So you don't want the mantra to be a word that you're familiar with because you don't want your conscious mind to be able to have any connection with the word, right? Because the conscious mind is going to start to tell you a story or it's going to bring an image, right? It's going to bring something with any word that you think of if it has an associated. Like if you was to say refrigerator, obviously you're going to be getting shown images and remember that time when I spilled the Kool-Aid in the refrigerator, or remember that time when the refrigerator broke and all the food spoiled. You know what I'm saying? Like your conscious mind is going to constantly be giving you, telling you a story. That's how our mind is set up, right? So if you say pink elephant, the conscious mind is constantly going to be showing you pink elephants and telling you a story, or you know what I'm saying. So that's the point of having a meaningless word. All right. So you could just make up a word in your mind that has absolutely no connection to you. It means nothing to you. Fuck what it mean to anybody else. As long as it don't mean nothing to you. And this is a tool that is supposed to be used to bypass the conscious mind. That's the big fucking secret that they try to make like it's a big secret. So you're going into a meditation. Now you do want to find that place in your mind, that moment, that happy place, that moment when you was in a state of bliss or create a state of bliss, but it's not for the purpose of trying to astral project your spirit to this place. This finding this state of bliss, this is being used as a anchor, all right, as an anchor to build this. To you're gonna anchor this experience in that, in the state of blissfulness, right? You don't want to anchor it in a state of paranoia, a state of chaos, right? Um, a state of wanting, none of that. You want to get your mind in that place and get your feelings in that state of blissfulness. To be the anchor, to be the catalyst for this experience. It has nothing to do with trying to make the thought come alive or relive a certain memory. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so once you really anchor down, the whole goal after that is you begin your mantra, right? Now this is in you have your eyes closed, whether you're sitting or laying down or standing, whatever, right? Typically, you're going to want to have your eyes closed, right? When you get good and settle into this moment of bliss, then you want to start your mantra. Um, you repeat this in your head. Whatever the mantra is, right? If it's Sala, 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 whatever this meaningless word is that you got, you repeat it over and over in your mind. That's all you're doing, right? Nothing else. You're not doing nothing else but just calmly repeating this meaningless word in your mind over and over and over, and you don't stop. All right. So, in the beginning, the ego, your conscious mind, is going to put up the biggest fight in the world. All right. Because the mind, our minds, absolutely hate to stay on one track. The conscious mind always has a story, right? Always wants to tell us a story. So as you repeat this meaningless word, it has no story to connect to it, right? So your ego is going to be fighting real hard though. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't no simple shit. It's simple, but it's not easy. Because your ego is going to fight hard, you know what I'm saying, for your attention, to tell you something, to remind you about them bills that's due, to remind you that you got to wake up early and take your aunt to work, right? To remind you that you got to take your medication in a minute, to remind you, you know what I'm saying, like it's just always, it's going to fight real hard to hold on, right? The idea of this transcendental meditation is to go beyond thought. to go beyond your own thoughts. All right. Now, when you find yourself dwelling in thought, because as you're repeating your mantra, there's still going to be times that your mind is going to take over and it's going to start talking to you and showing you all this other shit and telling you a story about this and that. Whenever you find yourself dwelling in thought, you just calmly bring yourself back to the mantra. Sala, Sala, Sala. It can be slower than that. It can be faster. But you want it to be smooth, right? Because you want to be calm. And pretty much that's it. And that's hard. That's hard. It's hard to do. That is very, very, very difficult to do. All right. Now, when you do, because when I was reading up, when I was trying to hear people's experiences doing transcendental meditation, it's hard to get anybody's experience. Like they'll tell you, everybody talks about the effect afterwards or something, right? Like, oh, I go about my day and I'm more clear headed and I have more energy to do stuff and everything is so much better type shit. Like, but it's like really nobody's giving you their experience in the moment. All right? Experiences are going to vary from person to person, but still, because most people aren't really giving you their experience when they're in the moment of really getting in the zone of the meditation, makes me think that most of them really don't have an experience to give you as far as getting in the zone, because a lot of them probably aren't really getting that deep in it. I did this. It's been some years now. I started going down this rabbit hole with Transcendental Meditation. And I would spend night after night for a while. I think I did it like a week straight or something, or maybe like two. I don't know. I gave it a little bit of effort. I would always do it when I lay down. When I lay down in bed, before I would go to sleep, I would meditate myself to sleep. You know what I'm saying? With this, doing this, I say this mantra. Most of the time, what happened was I'll end up going to sleep. So when I talk about how the conscious mind is going to be fighting back real hard, right? Trying to keep the attention, trying to tell you a story. Um, though the thing is, if you keep with it will, your conscious mind, the ego will wear down. But it's going to fight like hell. It's just going to be super hard to get to experience the point where your ego actually gave in and said you won. Like, that's a hard space to get to, but it's doable because I've done that. Um, but anyway, let me go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. So, you're saying this over and over in your mind. I did this night after night. And my experience, because the guy who did let me in on what this thing was all about, he didn't give me his experience, but he did say to me, whenever it shows up, whenever you go beyond thought, you're going to know it. However you know it, right? He said, whenever you experience going beyond your own thoughts, you're going to notice it in a dramatic way, right? So I was doing this meditation night after night, right? I did it one night, and this is all I remember. I remember doing the mantra like that, losing focus and coming back to the mantra, starting all over again like that. And then next thing I know, all I remember, it felt like I was a child and we was at recess because I just remember I'm running through the field and it's these other kids around, also running around to the field playing, laughing, yelling, the exact same way how it would sound at recess time at the elementary school. Like that takes it back though to finding that moment of bliss. Like it does matter. But anyway, so this is what I remember when I came to. I'm running in the field and all these other kids, and everybody's laughing and playing and having fun, right? And then the dream, this dream state where this experience, everything just sinked in, like going down a hole, like when you flush your toilet stool and how the water, you see the tunnel down like that's how like the dream did, like in all, everything, the scenario, the people, the building, the sky, that everything in the dream just sucked down and went down this hole. And then it was like kind of like no bullshit. The picture you see on this screen right now, this is not too far off of the experience. It's crazy because I didn't even pick this video with that in mind. But this is almost as close as I could get to being able to show you what I experienced. That is absolutely kind of freaky though. But anyway, so what you looking at right now, what I'm looking at, the same, I seen like these glowing balls, the same neon glow that is showing right there, but it was other balls, and it was like they was bouncing, and it was just kind of a dark place, and it was just like lit up with neon glowing lights and shit. And I don't know what these balls was, but they just like was bouncing by me. And it was this a very strong magnetic pull, which was pulling me downward. Though my body was stable, it was here, but I could feel a real strong magnetic pull that was pulling me downwards to where my arms and my legs and everything was kind of like noodles. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the feeling because everything was just being pulled by this magnet, right? And then I think I start to slightly get in a state, fear starts to creep in after a second. Because at first it's cool, it's amazing, and all that shit, right? And then it's like these balls that I was describing, they're bouncing at the same time. And like they're coming my way. And I must start to get nervous and anxious because now the balls are starting to come a lot faster. And it's a lot more of them, and they starting to like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I get scared, and I just shake and wake myself up out the experience. But that came from practicing with that transcendental meditation and using that mantra over and That was crazy.